Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Hardik.
Hi, Mr. Patel. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just a second, I'm just trying my leave.
This is a long-awaited interview that we planned earlier, and we are finally lucky to have you here. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Patel, at Crypto Times. We welcome you very much here.
Thanks a lot.
So,
lovely speaking to you.
First, Mr. Patel, I want you to brief little bit about yourself to our audience before we proceed with the questions. So, would you please introduce yourself a little bit about you and about your experience in the crypto field, maybe your intentions, what you're trying to bring here?
Perfect, great. So thanks a lot for having me here. The journey for Mudrex has now been a very fulfilling 7.5 years. Before we get into Mudrex, I can just tell you guys a brief background about how did we get here. So started off, small. I come in from a small town called as Nagpur. Classic middle class family. Mom works in a bank. Dad is used to work in a company called as Empress Mills, which was one of the largest cotton mills in India back then. Grew up, spent all my childhood in Nagpur. Always had this bent of fixing things, and loved playing with mechanics. In our generation, Lego was not something that people either had access to or could afford. So loved playing with mechanics, loved just breaking, building things as I grew up in school. At some point got to know about IIT and IIT JEE, the engineering exam, right after my 10th, and thought that, okay, maybe engineering is what I want to do for life. So started prepping for IIT in Nagpur itself. From there was fortunate enough to get into IIT Bombay. I think over the course of your journey, there are some of these events that happen to you that are game changer events that completely change radically the trajectory of your life.
Your life, exactly. What would you do in the
future? They're life-changing trajectories, and of course, I think no doubt that the 5-year experience that I had at IIT Bombay was by far one of the most life-changing trajectories that I had, primarily because of the kind of people that I got to spend time with, learn from, the range of things that I could try out while I was there to truly understand what my passions are, what I want to do in life. So extremely fulfilling 5 years from 2016.
So what got your interest in crypto? I mean, how did you decide to build an exchange for Indian audience?
Yeah. So I think got to know about crypto for the first time in 2013. I actually got to know about it earlier when I was in college in 2011. We read about it, but at that time, no one cared about Bitcoin. In 2013, we started, me and a few friends of mine were just chatting about Bitcoin, and a couple of our friends were in the US where they actually could buy Bitcoin from somewhere. And we started off a mail thread called as Bitmania, was the title of that mail thread. It's still, I posted about it on LinkedIn a few days ago. It's called as Bitmania. And the title or the subject says that Bitcoin has reached $180 something from $130. Is it? Should we buy today?
Wow!
And there was like a sequence of back and forths way back in 2013 with me and a bunch of my friends. Eventually saying ki even if we wanted to buy, we can't really buy. And by the time the decision happened, Bitcoin had already fallen way below 130. So it really didn't matter. So,
at that time, even Zapway wasn't there.
None of it was there. Like we were talking about 2013.
Yeah.
To give you context, 2013, people didn't have smartphones. Like, this is way back in the era. Like I had a Samsung Galaxy S2, which was a flagship smartphone, and we're right now at S26 or 25. I don't even know whether
I don't even follow it anymore.
Yeah. So I felt that I was privileged to have that Android phone. Like, to give you some context, Microsoft was launching Windows phones back then with Nokia. So we were talking about 2003
Yeah, Nokia was a huge thing back then.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that long ago, but from a technology perspective, we are talking about the iron age.
We had a major shift in the last 10 years.
Yeah. So first thought about it in 2013. Eventually, did nothing. Ever since then, every other year, someone drops a very similar message. Bitcoin is at XYZ. Should we buy? Bitcoin is at XYZ. Should we buy?
Right.
The answer in hindsight has always been always buy. It doesn't really matter what the price is. The long-term value is very different. And I don't think I truly internalized this back then, but truly internalized this in 2017, early 2018 when we were starting Mudrex. To give you some context, I started my first startup in 2013, sold that in 2015, joined a company, became head of product there, did that for 2-3 years. That company eventually got acquired by Amazon. I didn't want to go to Amazon. At that time in 2017, 2018, got together with a few of my friends and we were discussing what do we really need to spend more of our time on. And we really felt that living in India, in an economy and a country that was growing, we felt that just people having access to financial services was a huge problem. Us growing up, we realized that at the core, people are not able to fulfill their life's potential or their creativity or their true human ambition because they don't get the same access to financial services as the ultra rich do, right? Like there is this saying that making your first million is the hardest,
and
every
then
million
the rest is easier. Yeah.
And in reality, the reason for that is because, hey, if you've got $1 million, there will be a ton of banks working with you, offering you all the financial services that you need to help you grow that $1 million, right? But if you don't have enough money, everyone will be against you, and it's a compounding problem. And in reality, it's not that the service providers are dumb; like they can't offer it because fundamentally, the way the entire money infrastructure was set up was inefficient, and truly even today.
Yeah, and even when we had options, it was always more complicated. That is what I personally felt. When you're trying to invest in Bitcoin earlier, I mean, you had to use like local Bitcoins or something to just buy it. I mean, even before Zappe and after, even when the Zappe was introduced, there was no clarity about keeping the funds with you or, offline. I mean, there were no education at that point. Even at still at this time, I mean, the amount of people that we interact with and, we ask their opinion about investing in crypto. The question always comes like, how do we do it? And, there is always complications that they face. And even with the exchanges that we have right now in India, people are still struggling to invest in crypto. I mean, that's my personal overview from the feedbacks.
I think we are jumping a gun a couple of places here when we start talking about investing in crypto. The basic problem is that people don't even understand what crypto is or why it should be valuable and what it should be valued as. And I think my answer over there is that crypto is reimagining all finance. And all finance, of course, has various parts. Like you can't compare an insurance company with a brokerage house, with a bank, or with some other pieces, right? And crypto gives you the technology to fundamentally rethink all of this from scratch. Which is why I think over time, we will see access to such financial services start to be provided through crypto simply because it's a more efficient way of doing it. And I think the first threshold of that breaking is what's happening right now with stablecoins. Like if you go back and look at what's happening with stablecoins, they are changing how payments and global money movement happen, right? So now, going back again in 2018, our thought process was that financial services is built on this archaic technology and crypto fundamentally rethinks all of that. And in the next few decades, this is something that we were thinking in 2018, in the next few decades, crypto will completely transform how the financial services is set up. Of course, it's hard to say whether it will happen in 12 years, 10 years or 15 years, but the directional thought process was it will happen. And we at that time also understood that the technology is far away. Again, we are sitting in 2018, no ICOs were there, ETH price was a few dollars, Bitcoin peaked at 18 and then crashed to 3,000 subsequently. I still bite myself for not buying more at that point. But we are talking about a very different era. And over the last 6-7 years now, technology has actually come to that point where it's fast, it's cheap, it's potentially globally accessible. A lot of the user experience problems are solvable, but at that time it wasn't there. And we felt that eventually if financial services is going to be built, what you need to build are these first gateway layers, and exchanges and on and off ramps eventually end up being those first gateway layers. And that's why we started Mudrex. We said that we are bullish on crypto, the technology, and its potential to completely transform all financial services over the next few decades.
Right.
And we want to be in the right place. People say that you don't just end up being right place, right time, right? Like it takes years to be right place, right time.
Yes.
So if you want to be right time, eventually you have to start today, and you need to focus on the right opportunity set of problems that you can solve. And for us, that was user experience, that was entry and exit from fiat into crypto, and that was basically building out an exchange interface.
So at this point, Edul, I mean, are you offering, I mean, we have seen your exchange and we have tried it. So the few things that we really admire is that you're offering systematic investment plans in form of crypto. So that is something that people can, that I believe that is the safest way for people to invest, because they will not have a better entry, or they will not even know where to exist, and eventually they'll lose money. I mean, what we see. So you have started this SIP thing. So I wanted to know what kind of response are you getting? I mean, from our perspective, we really admire that investment vehicle for the normal people. I mean, they can just buy something eventually, and then they can just forget, and eventually it's going to grow up. So how did you come up with this SIP plan, and what exactly are you offering in the, the baskets that you are offering on your platform? Can you a little bit talk about that?
Right. So Hardik, of course, we've gone through our own journey, but I think our most important learning was that you need to start with the broadest set of people who are investors, and slowly and steadily continue to build for narrower and narrower and narrower use case, eventually going to high frequency traders and so on. Right? So that's the journey that Mudrex has been over the last couple of years. And we felt that irrespective of any asset class, if you want to grow your wealth, and you have this long-term vision that you want to create wealth, then the best format of investing in any asset class is just invest in an index,
right,
in the format of an SIP. Both of these statements are true. You need to be able to invest in an index so that it's diversified, and you need to do disciplined recurring investments and not trading, not daily active trade. That's as you say, there is no shortcut to success. But if there was a shortcut to creating long-term wealth, it is invest in an index recurringly. So with that piece in mind, we launched our first large product, Coinsets, in 21. It was, of course, a huge success. And at the back of that, and you can imagine Coinsets as mutual funds, but for crypto, where there is a small cap fund, a large cap fund, just like how there is Bank Nifty, which is focused on banking stocks. There is a DeFi index, which is focused on DeFi stocks, right, or an AI index focused on AI stocks or AI equities. AI crypto tokens. Right. So our thought process was that we want to give these diversified set of products first for users to invest in. And we want to give this in the format of an SIP, because that's the best way to create long-term wealth.
Yes.
And I think the interest has been phenomenal. A vast number of users loved the experience. Even till date today, we are the largest provider of such basket products to users. In India, we are the only ones that offer an SIP on top of these products. It's technically hard. It's not economic for us to offer it. We don't make a lot of money on it as well. But yet, our users love it. And that's why we continue to do it. We also think it's the best format in which anyone should be investing. By the way, despite everything that we offer on Mudrex, I personally, till date today, do just a simple $5 daily SIP in Bitcoin. I've been doing that for the last 2.5 years. I think that's been the...
So you're doing DCA in Bitcoin, $5 every single day.
$5 every single day goes into Bitcoin.
Great.
A no-brainer way for me to...
Yeah, it's a no-brainer way.
Participate.
I can say.
Trading takes too much time. That's the best way to create long-term.
So in the SIP thing that you're offering, what kind of response are you seeing from the users? Are you seeing more people coming and investing in the mutual funds products that you're offering, or people come and trade more on the other assets that you
Correct.
offer.
Yeah. So Hardik, this is, I think early on when we were building this, we thought like you, there will be this user will come and do this, and then this user will trade, and then this user will do futures. But what we actually come to realize, Hardik, is that people don't think like that. The person who invests in a Coinset also buys meme coins, also goes 10x long on ETH. It's a matter of having the optionality to do these things,
right?
And maybe of wallet changes. Maybe I am a person who does a Bitcoin SIP and I don't do 20x long leveraged Pepe coin transactions. But I also want to have the ability to do that. And and there are a lot of people who do that more and less investments in SIP. So we've realized that over time, we've realized that if you truly want to serve your consumer, you want to be able to offer them this breadth of experiences that they can do on your product.
Right.
Which is why I said that we started off with the widest thing that appeals to most people, which is index investing or mutual fund investing. Sabhi karte, right? Like everyone wants to do that. Mutual fund sahi has been such a mind-blowing campaign in India that has just worked out really well. But over time, we started offering coins to invest in. We first started off with just 20 tokens. At this point, Mudrex supports 800 tokens. We've got the widest number of assets that is available on any platform in India. We offer access to close to 500 different futures products. We give users the ability to go long and short up to 10x leverage. We've got the widest futures offering. We offer all these three things: Coinsets, coins, futures at the lowest fees possible, so that we can give it to users and give them access to the most amount of things, so that they can truly potentially create wealth and truly potentially pursue what they want to in a safe and secure manner. Because apart from options, there are the options of things to invest in. There are only two things that people need more. There is safety and security of participating on a product that's regulated, compliant, and they need knowledge. They need education. They want to learn. They want to grow. They want to make better investing and trading decisions. That's what people really want, and that's what our focus is on as well.
So at this time, when you're offering all those things and you are having, we are seeing that the crypto trend is, growing specifically among the young people. We call it, Gen Z people. They're really into crypto, and anyone, there are first-time investors that must onboard on your platform. So what kind of approach are you noticing from Indians in general? Like what kind of approach you see they have when they come on your platform, and what exactly kind of things that they prefer to do, most common things?
Correct. So actually, Hardik, it's very interesting that because crypto market cycles are short and we've gone through a bunch of these cyclical events, the perspective with which people come on board today versus the perspective that they even came on board 2 years ago is very different. And I just want to spend time talking about and elaborating that the market has learned so fast. Like 2 years ago, and the reason why we do it is because we do these annual surveys amongst all our users, and thousands of users on Mudrex respond to it. It's fairly statistically significant, conclusive at scale, right? 2-3 years ago, most people came in with the perspective that I want to invest in crypto for 3 to 6 months, double my money and go. Today, over 65% of our users respond and say that they want to invest for 2 years or more. In fact, 15% people, and this is a cohort that never existed before, 15% people say that they are wanting to do retirement planning with crypto. So It's gone to that extent, right? Early on, people would want to say that they are looking for meme coin investing, futures trading, slightly more, again, coming with that mentality of growing their wealth or, making money quickly. Now, the thought process that I want to invest in SIP, give me daily SIPs, give us that, give us that ability. Early on, a lot of it was that I want to do crypto deposit, crypto withdrawal. Today, it is help me with moving money from my bank account, help me take money back to my bank account, right? So the thought process and perspective has completely changed. The other interesting thing was that early on, we got a lot of, as you rightly said, Gen Z folks But in reality, most of these people were just playing around. Like they came in with 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 500 rupees, right? Like not serious money, just to have chai pe charcha, just to have, you want to be able to participate in a conversation where you say that I put in money in Doge and Doge went up 5x. But like, how much did you put in? You put in $200 and it's become 1,000. So it's okay. It doesn't really matter. It's not life changing for you anyways. So early on, a lot of such people came. But now we are seeing that shift not only coming in from Gen Z, but also a lot of millennials coming in, and people, of your age, my age, coming in, wanting to say that, okay, I'm really thinking of participating in crypto. I really think that it's going to be the next large asset class that's going to grow. I really don't have a direct ability to invest in real estate today, and I'm growing that corpus, but let me at least start getting exposure to this asset class where I can access it at very low barriers of entry and I can grow that wealth over time, right? So the optionality that crypto is giving is amazing. And I think that's not only true because of how crypto has evolved, I think it's also true because regulatory mindset has changed, right? Like the ETF that came in December 23, about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, like, do you think this approach has changed after ETFs came, or is it something, was there along before ETF?
No, I think we went through a couple of dark ages in the arc of crypto in 22 and 23, where there was basically an entire cleanup event that happened, right? Like a lot of fraudulent players went away, a lot of companies defaulted, a lot of illegitimate practices got cleaned out. Right. And then it was followed by a sequence of regulatory changes over the last year and a half that continues till date, right? That has then just created this wave of optimism and wave of directional acceptance of crypto. And I think ETF being approved was that first bastion that got moved. Just to give you guys some sense, till date, $46 billion has flowed into Bitcoin ETFs, cumulative combined. That 46 billion has grown to $75 billion. Wow. At this point, Bitcoin ETF and gold ETFs, all Bitcoin ETFs and all gold ETFs are roughly at the same level.
Yes.
So the cumulative money that's moved into gold in an ETF format, or the worth is the same as at which Bitcoin is, and that triggered a lot of institutional adoption, which has actually given more legitimacy, has reduced the volatility of crypto. Like a few markers that I track is actually how volatile Bitcoin is, what is the oscillations, and you can see that Bitcoin's volatility is basically just keeps on going down. And the reason it keeps on going down is because there is this large set of institutional buyers that are always available, who are either buying as soon as it goes below a threshold or who are selling as soon as it goes above, right? So the range is narrowing, price discovery is improving, and all of these things that are happening with Bitcoin are then causing Bitcoin to separate out from the pack, right? As we stand today, effectively in the US, Bitcoin is moving towards strategic reserve, digital gold, long-term asset store. Fund managers are saying that everyone should hold 3 to 5% of Bitcoin, etc., etc., etc. It's also led to stable coins moving away from crypto, saying that stable coins is payments and the entire financial world will change with stable coins, and cross-border remittance becomes very cheap, very effective. And crypto moving away towards technology, that, okay, stable coins is different, Bitcoin is different. Now can we build financial primitives on crypto, and a lot of technological improvements happening on that front. So that's where we stand today. And it's just extremely exciting. Like, I hope you can
I understand the global growth of Bitcoin and crypto market has been phenomenal in the last year and a half. So if we talk about India, because we want to discuss that. So what do you think that India, where does India stands there? Are we lagging behind, or do you think that there will be adoption like ETFs and other investment products that will be offered by BSC or NSC directly to investors?
Correct. So I think let's talk about a short history of crypto in India.
Yes, sure.
So it starts off with a lot of platforms, there being no platforms. Then suddenly a bunch of platforms like Mudrex emerging in 2018.
Right.
Then in 2018, RBI bans crypto. In 2020, there are conversations in India where there are papers floating around, proposals floating around, saying that anyone who holds crypto should be jailed for 10 years. Yeah. And then we come to 21, when the Supreme Court in India reverses the RBI ban. We reach 22, where the government of India says that we should tax crypto. We reach 23, where the Ministry of Finance, one of the most important bodies under the Ministry of Finance, the FIU, says that, okay, crypto is now global, it's here to stay. We need to figure out a way to understand what's happening. We need reporting. So all crypto companies come under PMLA, which is extremely important. Then in 24, there is the G20, where India leads the presidency of G20 and says that globally everyone needs to come together to agree on crypto, right? And then 24 MiCA happens, and then now in 25, Trump is president, and we are figuring out what to do with crypto. So if you look at the arc, India has basically made a complete U-turn from extremely anti to it becoming more and more receptive and being a power that globally tries to get people to consensus.
Yes.
Now let's look at where the world is today. Today, there are clear crypto regulations in Canada, Singapore, Australia, Europe, and now US is heading in that same direction. Basically, anyone and everyone in India looks for direction for some of these global things, because this, crypto is not an asset, not a currency, not a security, not a commodity, yet somehow it's all of these things together. And what it's emerging is that the consensus that's emerging globally is that you can't regulate crypto in one go. You have to break crypto up into its individual use cases, and then you need to regulate and figure out ways to regulate and monitor use cases. Right. And I think as that consensus is emerging, India is also looking to move towards that consensus. So we expect a discussion paper to come out in the next few months. We expect that discussion paper to lead to some formal action by either existing regulators or new regulators to come in. And I think the future for crypto is fairly bright. Right now, I understand that there is some uncertainty, but that uncertainty continues to decrease as platforms like Mudrex continue to push the forefront towards education and information for our users. Of course, platforms like you, who continue to push for financial information to users so that they can then take these informed choices.
Yes, I mean, we tried that people get the right information at the right time, and they don't need to go look around for it. So at this time, the budget 2025 is around the corner, we could say. So do you think that there would be any change on 30% crypto tax or 1% TDS that we are, have to bear right now? Do you think there would be any change on that?
So I actually don't think that there will be any change. Because I think we're talking about the absolute wrong set of problems. TDS, tax, all of these are very transactional things. In the global scheme of things, crypto is changing how the financial industry works. Like if you talk about Circle and what USDC is doing, if you talk about all the global companies that are now scaling up, the focus towards stablecoins to change the barriers and reduce the barriers of global money movement. I think in India, if the conversation just continues to happen around 30% tax and 1% TDS, and offset
in India, I mean, if I want to add something on this. So whenever crypto is mentioned by the government, that is always has been to charge the users from what they are doing. Even the recent bill that we studied that was published, that clearly stated that from 2026, every tax, every transactions that you have done, or that you have, you would have made any sale of crypto, whatever your involvement is with the crypto needs to be reported compulsory. Otherwise, there will be legal actions taken against you. It will be taken against your, chartered accountant. It will be taken against the body who is filing your taxes. So the crypto has always been mentioned by the government to collect taxes or to charge them. I mean, there has been never I have not read a single paper saying to regulate it properly, to educate it, to implement that. I mean, it's just missing in the government. I mean, it is truly missing.
I agree. And I think that is just a consequence of the push that the government gets, right? Like, as the industry in India, we talk about just exchanges. We just talk about trading. No one talks about real value that crypto is creating. No one talks about use cases. Let me give you just one example. Right? India is the largest remittance receiving country in the world. To give you some sense, $1 trillion worth of remittances happens world over. 130 billion, 13% of all remittances globally come to India every year.
Right.
India has 25 million expats that are living world over, sending money back to India for the development and growth of India.
Right.
It's the largest. India is larger than the next 10 countries combined in terms of the money that comes in.
Yes, 100%.
Global remittances takes 3 to 5 days. It costs 3 to 5%. Global Indians have to bear effectively $3 to $5 billion worth of costs when it comes to moving money. And for what? Just sending money back to their parents so that they can live a happy life.
Yes.
Right? If we continue to talk about exchanges in the same breath as remittances, it will never solve. And that's why I'm saying that as an industry, we need to talk about use cases and problems and challenges and discuss these things. Right? Like, just to give you some sense, today, after India, Mexico is the second largest remittance receiving country in the world. US-Mexico is the largest corridor. There are so many great companies that are working on solving for the remittance money movement from US to Mexico using stable coins. And the impact is immediate. People over there are, instead of paying 3 to 5% for sending money, are paying 30 to 50 basis points, like 1/10. Money movement doesn't take 3 to 5 days, it's instant. That's reduced the cost of sending money as well. Instead of first people getting and waiting together to send $2,000 or $5,000, people are now starting to send $200, $300, $500. That's increased the rate at which money is flowing into those countries. And that's uplifting the entire economy, right? And that's, I think, what my problem is. We talk about the wrong things. As an industry, we should be talking about the right problems, how crypto can actually help India elevate. And this is one example, right? As India evolves into a country that has global ambitions, not only of manufacturing, but of services, that means that we will end up catering to a global clientele. That would mean that a lot of import-export trade will happen. And all of that can potentially move to stablecoins, crypto in a regulated format under the RBI. That is just one vector.
But
India is a country
at this time, I have a question, Mr. Patel. So at this time, do you think that the government recognize stablecoin payment as a payment, or they will just consider that as a crypto sale? Because if let's say that
you're right.
somebody sends a stable coin from US or anywhere of the world to India, right? Somebody from India, and then they have the stable coin and they got it for minimum expenses and they want fiat. So they sell it from one of the exchange, let's say Mudrex. They are coming to Mudrex to sell the USDT. So the government consider that a gift payment, or they'll just charge 30% tax on it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say, Hardik.
That is exactly why people don't use it, I think.
Correct. So, but it's a chicken and egg thing, right?
Yeah.
You need to start building the use case. You need to start having those conversations. You need to separate and silo things out, and then only can you get the government to respond.
Right.
It's an industry initiative that needs to happen, and we are pushing for it. We work regularly with the policymakers. We work regularly with the regulators to give them content, give them information. Just like how the audience needs knowledge, our regulators also need knowledge. They also need to understand and get educated. Then only can they make informed choices. Right. And if we continue to bash, कि tax खराब है, like okay, ठीक है, tax खराब है, हम करते रहेंगे, हमें जो करना है, right? We need to, the conversation narrative and the way in which we position things needs to change. And that's, I think,
what steps do you think the Indian government should take at this time to have a better, a regulatory framework for crypto?
Right. So I think the discussion paper is a great starting point, because that opens up and gets all stakeholders to the same page. Where you start to say, let's move the conversation. Let's elevate the conversation from talking about 30% tax, 1% TDS, no profits against losses, right? Let's talk about what is crypto all about? Why do we even want crypto? What is the benefit? How can the country and economy become better, right? Like, that's really the question that the government needs to answer. And we need to answer, why is it actually important to talk about crypto? And over there, then you not only talk about the discussion paper, you try and break it down. You look at global analysis and global analogies as to what's happening, come up with those examples, go back with recommendations to the government, and then does the needle move?
Right.
See, we need to understand, Hardik, that the regulator's job is extremely difficult.
Yes.
Especially in an industry like crypto, where there are so many use cases, the technology is moving rapidly, and what you want to do is, you don't want to stifle the technology, but also want to make sure that there is growth. You also want to make sure that the people don't get scammed. So there is a balance that the regulator needs to maintain. I am actually pretty happy with the pace at which things have moved. Like, to give you some context, it took 10 years or more for futures and options to become regularized in India as compared to most of the world, right? And India has always been a conservative regulator, and rightly so. The job of the regulator is to protect the individual and make sure that their interests are aligned. And now it's our job to help them evolve that thinking from, okay, you've done a good job at protecting the investor. Now let's enrich their lives. Let's move towards talking about how can India contribute, and how can crypto contribute towards India's narrative and dream of reaching and becoming that $5 trillion economy. And there are direct, clear pathways in which that can happen, in my opinion now.
Do you think that's because I personally think that in India, crypto is not adopted. I mean, it is just allowed for peoples to, the residents can sell, buy, and they can, maybe invest in it, but it is not adopted. It is just allowed. Like, you could use it, but we don't want to adopt the technology. It is just seen as a financial a product that people could buy, could sell, and make money, lose money, and they charge taxes, and that's pretty much about it. That is pretty much the current scenario that we see with crypto, but not an adoption. As we could say, because see, in the US, they are adopting the stable coin is something that has motivated the government to actually regulate things, because the stable coin, whenever they issue, it's being backed by the treasury, so the government gets the money eventually. That is exactly why they are motivated to regulate it. And I don't see that with this regulatory framework we would have our own stable coin or something that we could push forward, like Circle has done, or Tether is doing globally. So at this point, do you think the banks are going to be involved in crypto? Because if they get involved into the crypto, and if they offer some financial products, like, maybe mutual funds, they could offer it directly from the bank. Let's say, HDFC multi-cap crypto fund, just an example. So if they do that, then we could see actual investment from the people, because they would just buy the mutual fund, they would hold it, and they would not actually lose the money, or they would not be liable for the taxes. I think that would just bring a lot of volume into the crypto. It would be in lakhs and lakhs crores rupees into the crypto.
So Hardik, firstly, I would say that there is actually a lot of effort in different pockets of government to try and understand how can blockchain and crypto, the technology, be used. There is genuine effort. There are people who are genuinely trying to do it. Okay, so let me clarify that. That's number one. Number two, I think over the next couple of years or so, we will see we will very quickly see increased regulatory activity in India, all from the perspective of, again, going back to that same concept. We shouldn't talk about crypto altogether, because we don't talk about all finance together. There is no one finance regulator, right? There is an insurance regulator, a currency regulator, a securities regulator, a commodities regulator. Just like how we don't talk about all finance together, we shouldn't talk about all crypto together. We will break up crypto into different parts. Different pieces will be regulated by different entities. That's where things are heading. That A, reduces the complexity of crypto. B, makes it simpler to define use cases, define how exactly it will get implemented, and then create guardrails that a regulator wants around everything, right? Now, whether it will happen in the same format like it happened in the US, of course not. That never happens. India has its own sovereignty, has its own identity, its own real challenges and problems that it wants to solve. And India will take those things into consideration when it comes up with these frameworks. But what I know is that it's moving ahead in that direction.
Right.
And yes, that will slowly unlock use cases, will slowly unlock financial services, will slowly create a new set of companies like Mudrex that will evolve to serving for those client and customer needs. And then we will move towards talking about this large-scale adoption. If we just focus if all we do as an industry is talk about Bitcoin price and whether people should invest or not, that is end up being the wrong narrative. I think that's important. It's important that people in India get access to invest, and that's actually exactly what the current set of regulations have done. They have said that buying, selling, trading, investing, everything in crypto is completely legal.
Right.
On top of it, also effectively the way that the tax law is set up is that, hey, if you continue to just buy and continue to hold and continue to grow your wealth, you don't pay tax. Like 30% tax on when you are realizing gains.
Right.
1% TDS when you are doing transactions to exit.
Right.
Or profits like losses can't be offsetted if you are trading too much. So if you really think about how the current taxation structure is set up, it actually incentivizes people to buy, hold and grow their wealth.
But I understand that it is really motivating people to buy and hold it. But with the recent, hack that we have seen with WazirX, people are not trusting the exchanges. So, there is one side that the government is pushing that people should buy and hold it. And on the other side with the hack and, people are still just complaining they have not got their money and stuff like that. So people are really, there is just two sides right now. Is Mudrex doing anything to clear these doubts from the people that they can safely hold the money in the even in the exchange? It's totally safe and they could do it.
Absolutely. So this I can just directly jump into that question because I think that's one of the most common questions that we get.
Yeah.
Firstly, I think half of the reason why people lost so much money is because WazirX never, or most of these platforms don't actually allow people to withdraw crypto. So you're incentivized to sell. Mudrex is actually the only platform in India that allows users to do crypto withdrawals. After, of course, KYC and after we know that where you're moving money and so on and so forth as per FATF rules. But we are the only platform that allows. So the first, and that's a part of our core ethos, by the way. We think that crypto is all about financial independence and financial security. So why should we enforce that you have to keep your money with us?
Yes,
you can keep your money. That's a very important core principle that we adhere to. And by the way, it's very expensive for us to do that because risk monitoring, transaction monitoring, making sure that transactions are legitimate, making sure that there is no fraud moving through your system is very expensive. Yet we do it because it's a core principle. It's about meeting those principles. So I think that's the first thing where I think Mudrex is different. If you want to buy, you can buy. If you want to take your money and go, you can take your money and go. No baggages. Just make sure that we need to make sure that you are not using it for illegal.
You know what you're doing. You just need to make sure that they know what they are doing after withdrawing.
And for a vast majority of people, they don't care, right? Like they know that it's not like they're going to use it for money laundering, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, the way we secure assets is actually very different. Most exchanges like these typically tend to manage their own keys. They manage their own wallets. And they've got internal teams to be able to make sure that those wallets are secure, or they use third-party custodians to make sure that those wallets are secure. And I think that ends up becoming a critical security choke point because then those teams become vulnerable, those wallets become vulnerable, the key management becomes vulnerable. And key management is a completely different kind of security that needs to be implemented as compared to your traditional Web2 data practices and so on and so forth, right? What we do is that we work with large third-party custodians who custody all our assets. And we make sure that the money is divided across multiple custodians. And these custodians are not only custodying our money, but they are custodying billions of dollars, like hundreds of billions of dollars. They work with the largest hedge funds. So we get access to their security infrastructure for very low cost.
Right.
And like low cost is subjective because in my head, the cost is basically your entire business gets shut down. We pay a lot, but it still comes with this relative peace of mind that, okay, it's all secure and there is only so much that you can lose in case, even if you get hacked, which is the third layer. That our third layer of security is this intense effort that we put on transaction monitoring. The model is that, okay, your wallets are secure, need to monitor transactions. And if something goes wrong, you stop transactions immediately. And that's the model that we've focused on. That focus on transactions, continue to monitor the flow of money that's going in and out of your system. And if anything worse happens, shut it down. Go back, evaluate, and then open it up again. So that basically the conversation and the reason why we take this model is because the way we think of it is that it's not a matter of whether you will get hacked or not, whether money will get moved or not. Everyone is a target to hacks. Everyone is a target to security breaches, and the larger assets you hold, the bigger the target on your back.
Yes.
So we think that it's really important to think of it from a prevention perspective, but it's also important to think of it from the perspective, okay, if it happened, what safeguards do we have to protect and make sure that damage is minimal? And, dividing monies across different providers, making sure that the API layer is secure, making sure that access is limited. All of those are things that we do to make sure that if something like this happens, it's prevented. And the scale is not the scale at which what happened to Mudrex, when half their money went away. Even if it happens 2%, 5% money goes, in which case, then your resources in the company are good enough to prevent anything like that from growing.
And I've seen that you're insured. I mean, it says on your website that you're completely insured. So if in case anything happened and, let's say the custodian, because, Mudrex even they had custodians. I mean, I'm not sure what kind of custodian you have, but they...
Actually, I'd like to clarify. Mudrex never had custodians. Okay. They used custody providers, but everything was always in their own custody.
Oh, okay.
There is a
difference between...
It's like using a technology service provider who will give you the technology and you need to manage it, versus giving everything to the end player who does the job of securing.
Right.
So most platforms use a technology service provider and they manage their own custody. And I'm saying that's exactly where the problem is.
Right.
If you are taking someone's technology, but you are implementing your own checks and balances, the technology will continue to work, but you didn't implement the right checks and balances. That's why you will get impacted. So that's where it's a different. We use third-party custodians who are custodying the money on our behalf.
So the entire money that is deposited on Mudrex is held by the third-party custodian, and they have it, everything.
Yeah,
the cold wallets are with them. The hot wallets are the one that you operate that lets people withdraw efficiently. And I was talking about the insured fund. So as far as you're saying that everything that's on your fund that is with you or with the custodian is 100% insured.
Yeah. So let's talk about that as well. Custodians typically are able to buy insurance because they're able to implement all the practices that are.
Right.
All insurance comes with liability of payout. And in most cases, the custodians that we work with have typically their own $1 billion odd protection funds plus $100 million insurance that comes in from these third parties. Yes. So, of course, it's not like if a custodian gets hacked for $300 billion, the $300 billion will be given by the insurance company. But there is a give or take $1.5 billion worth of insurance backstop that we are able to get access to via our custodians. Right. It's like saying if you put money in a bank and a bank gets hacked, today the FDIC insurance or the India insurance ensures that you will get 5 lakh
is going to help it.
The RBI says that you will get 5 lakh rupee back.
Yeah.
That's basically what our custodians tell all their clients, that our custodians say that we've got $1.5 billion, and if anything happens up to $1.5 billion, we will cover everyone. Right. And then rest will be spread across. That's basically as good as it gets. Hardik, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it.
Yeah, I don't do it
as best as.
I don't want to lie and say that all our funds are insured. It makes no sense. No one will insure all funds for everyone. There is a cap to liability, and that's how it works.
Right. So you have done the best of the best industry standard. I mean, and it doesn't get anything better than this. That's enough. This is enough. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about Mudrex a little bit. If you want to say what approach are you taking in terms of taking Mudrex to the next level, and having even more and more users onboarded on your platform. Do you have any particular strategy or a way you are heading towards?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's very straightforward. It's no rocket science to think like this. The first job is to create, the first job that we had was to create high quality products that we can offer to our customers. And that's a job that we've done. The second job was to offer these products to users at low enough costs. And that's also something that we've done. So as things stand today, Mudrex has the widest number of options that a user can buy and sell on, like across Coinsets, across spot, across futures. We are better than actually global exchanges as well. Like Mudrex has more number of spot tokens, futures tokens than Coinsets that Binance has or Bybit has or Coindex, Coinswitch, any of these guys have. We actually have lower fees than a Binance, a Bybit, a Coindex, a Coinswitch or any of these have. So first job was wide number of choices. Second job was lowest fees.
Yes.
The third job now that we are working on is focused on customer experience and reliability. And that's something that we are focused on growing, because what we think is that in the Web2 world or in the investing world, people have really nailed world-class user experiences. And I think that is something that's still missing in the crypto world across globally. And our job is just going to continue to elevate our consumers' experience so that they start thinking of Mudrex as their trusted, knowledgeable partner in their journey of trading and investing in crypto. We want to focus on how do we help them in identifying gaps in their portfolio? How do we help them in identifying trading opportunities? How do we help them in making sure that they've set up the right alerts and they get access to the right news, the right information so that they can take informed choices? We want to help them with support. We want to help them to go in and out of crypto easily. We want to reduce the tax burden. We want to help them with tax filing. So it's this umbrella of things around the core product offering is what we are going to focus on. Our job is our job and our aspirations are to build this world-class crypto trading and investing product that gives users truly a product that they deserve. And that's what helps them take their next leap and their next journey.
That's a really great approach, Mr. Patel. That this is really great approach that you have. I have to admire it. So, with the Coinbase and Binance are coming back to India soon. So do you think that's a kind of a threat to Mudrex, or how do you see it?
No, I think the way I see it is on two fronts. Firstly, more people coming in only helps us expand the market. It helps us do more education, provide more information to people, and give them more knowledge, and that helps you grow the market. The second part is that there's no point in talking about competition if you're not able to serve the customer's needs. And if Coinbase and Binance are able to serve the customer's needs better than you, then people should go on Coinbase and Binance.
Right.
And we think that we are working on creating a superior user experience that's tailored to the Indian audience.
Yes.
Which is why more users will continue to work with us. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. At this point in time, we are already better than Coinbase and Binance.
That's
right.
right.
To continue to push that envelope from the experience perspective so that we can compete with these large players.
Yes.
And competition is always good for the consumer. It's actually always good for the ecosystem as well, because it helps push the boundaries of what companies can do and should do to serve their customers better. That's how I think of. So I actually think that it's great that these large players are coming in. It'll get more legitimacy. It'll help inform the market better. It'll help inform the regulators better. It'll help us grow the market and widen the pie so that the best product and service offering can actually win. Instead of us talking about a small market that no one cares about.
Right, that's right. So, I have a question about Mudrex. Like, since these giants that are dominating the global market, like Binance, they are entering India. So, do you have thought to going, expanding outside of India, or bringing Mudrex to, taking to other, because, it's much easier because of the regulations. I mean, if you can pull it out in India, you can surely do it outside of India. So have you thought of it?
I do not deny that at all, Hardik. I think the internal thought process is that I think if you are able to create a world-class product in India, then almost surely we'll succeed in most places, but it's not as easy said as done. The first leg that you need to solve for when you talk about global expansion is to be able to do it regulatorily correctly. And I think we have done a lot of work on that front, and we continue to push the boundaries over there. I think we are the only company in India that is licensed in India, UK, Europe, Canada, Australia,
wow,
and is now pushing the barriers in US and Middle East as well. So I think our first thought process always is that do whatever you do it regulatorily correctly. And I think we wanted to move ahead quickly on that front because we could see that it's getting more and more expensive and more tougher.
Yes.
So that's a large surface that we've covered. In parallel, we are wanting to continue to make sure that the product experience is excellent, and that product experience actually kind of sort of globally remains the same. Everyone world over wants most choices, lowest prices, and great experience. Right?
Yeah.
So if we're able to go for that in India, we think that then we'll have a compelling product offering that we can take to other geos. But I would not want to discount how difficult it is to expand to other geos. It requires capital. It requires deep local understanding. Just like how I am saying that I am confident that I'll be able to compete with Binance locally because I have local understanding.
Right.
It's difficult for me to say that I'll be able to compete with Binance locally in Vietnam because I have better.
Yeah.
Like it's a level playing field, right? Like it's the same. So you need to be able to build that muscle, and I think that's the muscle that we are building. We think that the product muscle is important. The compliance and regulations muscle is important, but the distribution muscle is also important, and the distribution muscle is something that we are building. At this point in time today, Mudrex is larger than Binance in India. We've got more transacting users. We've got more people who use the product on a regular basis. We've got more investors and traders. And very soon, we are looking to push that boundary and become number one in India. Let's see how we go from there.
So are you planning to raise capital to grow Mudrex, or you just want to be self-sufficient?
So I think capital is a consequence of capital, whether it will come in or not, is always a consequence of what the market demand is and whether you are able to offer value and service to our products or not. Our thought process is always that let's focus on making sure that we are giving the most value to our customers, because if we are able to do that and customers believe that we are a great product, capital comes in automatically. That's not something that we ever.
Right. At this point, is Mudrex serving to corporate clients? Do you think that are you offering to corporates that they could buy and keep Bitcoin as treasuries, or they could have a easier way to invest? Are you offering those services?
Absolutely, we do. In fact, to corporate clients and these large HNI clients, we offer very dedicated, white glove services. In fact, some of the largest family offices and largest corporate treasuries are looking to now enter into Bitcoin, looking at their global peers and taking cues from their global friends and families. They're looking to enter more and more into crypto. We work very closely with them. And of course, we work in complete discretion as well to help them make sure that they're able to manage their funds very clearly. Most of these folks want to be able to take custody of their own assets. And the fact that Mudrex allows crypto withdrawals and allows them to do it very easily is a big win that helps us drive this ahead.
That's great. So are you, do you want to, inform us with a volume that's that you have seen, maybe a monthly volume that you see on your platform, or annual volume? Do you want to comment on that?
So I think we are already processing north of 200 million every single month on Mudrex. It's a lot. We expect that by the end of the year, we'll reach $1 billion in volume processing across all the products that we offer. It's scaling very rapidly. And it's a consequence of the excellent experience that our users have. We are the highest rated crypto app in India.
That's great. It's hard to do that. That is really great. That is really great.
It's hard to do that at a few million scale. It's easy to do that when you're a few thousands, but when north of 3 million users use you, you really need to be good at what you do.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot just have some people rated you, 5-star, and then you could not fake the rating if you have this many users. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you so much for your time, Mr. Patel. It was really great having you here. And before I let you go, I have a few personal questions for you, if you don't mind answering that. First of all, I have a general questions for you about the future of crypto in general. I mean, in terms of the price, because people are really interested into that. So how do you see Bitcoin's growth by this year, and in general other cryptos that we see in the market? What do you see how high they can go?
Yeah, so I think Bitcoin is now so large that it's affected by geopolitics, it's affected by tariffs, it's affected by all the US things of it, and so on and so forth. I think that from a macro perspective, we are actually set up to see a Bitcoin peak of near $150,000. Of course, it's not, that doesn't mean that it'll just hit there. There is a range. But I also see a very strong support around the 95,000 mark. So I think it will be range bound between this 90 to 140, 150 range, peak being around 140, 150, closer later on in this year. I typically don't do price predictions, and that's why I'm not wanting to say that we'll reach here, but I want to explain what the range is. I think a lot of that is being driven by a bunch of factors globally, right? Like, for example, global monetary supply is at an all-time high. Globally, the relative risk of Bitcoin is reducing. As I said earlier, right? The volatility of Bitcoin is decreasing, but at the same time, volatility of every other asset is increasing.
Yes.
So, becoming less riskier, most other things are becoming more riskier. Like at this point, US treasuries are more risky than treasuries of most European countries. So
Right.
you can understand that there is that divergence that's happening. So Bitcoin is becoming less riskier. Other things are becoming more riskier. Interest rates have started to go down in most geos across the world, apart from US. The US has some other problems with interest rates, but most geos across the world, interest rates have come down, which means that most of this money that's created will flow into risk assets. And as the risk of Bitcoin reduces and risk of others increases, there is a larger likelihood that a larger amount will come into Bitcoin. For Bitcoin to hit $150,000, let's say by the end of the year, we need to see another 30 to 40 billion dollars worth of inflows happening into the Bitcoin ETFs. That doesn't seem that far off.
Yeah,
Like,
right. I mean, it's really, it seems very realistic that we could.
Yeah,
reach
it's
that.
realistic. So I wouldn't park it off as unrealistic. The range, in my opinion, will be in this 90 to 150. We will see spikes, and then we will see settlements around 120, 130, closer to the end of the year.
And at this point of time, would you mind sharing us your crypto portfolio? I mean, what coins do you have? You hold, and I'm sure people want to know that.
So 85% is just Bitcoin and Ethereum. In fact, 40% is Bitcoin, another 45% is Ethereum. I own way more Ethereum than I should, and all of us have been holding on to our ETH bags since a really long time.
I'm personally a big Ethereum fan, and I resonate with your portfolio very much.
Yeah, and the rest 15% is just random things that I was curious about.
That's a great portfolio,
and that's okay.
by the way.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah, and I think it almost stays in this proportion simply because I've set up SIPs, right? Like I don't really care about what's the Bitcoin price today or tomorrow.
Right.
I have to buy $5 worth of Bitcoin every day and $5 worth of ETH every day, so it doesn't matter.
That's really great strategy. So, what advice would you give to our audience from your side as an exchange CEO?
Yeah, so I think I would personally recommend people not go into FOMO and not invest just because of the sake of investing. They should really think of investing in crypto only if they are willing to commit to a 3, 5, 10-year horizon and nothing short. They should also not invest too small, neither too large. If it's too small, you really don't make anything. It doesn't help. If it's too large, there is a large concentration risk. Aim should be to eventually get to 3 to 5% of your portfolio into crypto. I would recommend people start small, which means that they start with 2,000 to 5,000 rupees first month or month and a half. Just understand what's happening. Start either only with Bitcoin, or you can invest in a Coinset that we have, which is a crypto blue chip Coinset, or a BTC ETH 50/50 Coinset. Both of those are great. They are extremely low fees. In fact, we don't charge you anything on anything over there. So it's great to get started with that so that you build this muscle. And then once you're familiar and once you understand, you should set up some format of SIP or some format of investing regularly, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever you think is right. But not think of it from a timing perspective कि अरे Bitcoin गिर गया है मेरे को पैसा डाल लेने दो. If you think of it that way, then you're setting yourself up for failure because you are trying to time a market, and even the best fund managers in the world are not able to time the market.
That's a wonderful advice, Mr. Patel. Thank you so much.
That's what I would recommend.
Thank you so much for being here. Anything else you want to add on this conversation?
No, Hardik, we are true believers in the long-term value of crypto and Bitcoin. We want people to come and join Mudrex and be a part of our community, give us feedback and help us get them the truly amazing experience that they deserve. Our users love our product a lot, and we continue to hope that that love continues to come in from the new users that join in on this crypto journey with us.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Patel. And we really appreciate your time and, the knowledge that you have shared with us. It is really, really great to have us, have you here. And, apart from the interview, I think we need to approach the regulators. I mean, India regulators, and then, we could have them in maybe a podcast, so we could align them and we could meet them, have you or other, people who are into the crypto, and we could actually, bring a light to the problems that we are seeing. Because if they will not regulate these crypto properly, if they will not regulate it, I think we are gonna left behind.
Correct. No, I agree, Hardik. We continue to push. So, off the record, we work with various industries. We work with SEBI, we work with RBI, we work with Ministry of Finance. We provide them information, we provide them knowledge, we provide them discussion papers. We are building up their confidence slowly and steadily. Of course, things like Wazirex, etc., derail some of those efforts. And it's not only us, the industry body in India is doing that also reasonably well with BWA. But still, concentrated efforts needs to happen on how can crypto help India grow. And I think the easiest and fastest answer to that is what we are seeing globally with remittances. Like if Indians are able to save $3 to $5 billion in sending money back to India, imagine the amount of wealth that
that is really a huge amount for the government.
It's incredible. And I think those things are also in line with the regulator's view, right? Like the regulator wants money to come in.
I think the government, if the government recognize crypto as a payment and not as an investment product, the things would change drastically. I think I want to push that thing to the government, that they recognize crypto payment as a payment, so that we could cut off these charges, we could save $3 to $5 billion, and over than that, we could actually introduce a stable coin. I mean, I think there should be an entity in the government that could recognize the payment, and that could maybe, if you are, they could, maybe not allow us to transact in the USDT, but they could introduce something of their own. And then the USDT gets converted there. So the government holds that. And eventually, I think that could be the great way for us to save money.
Correct. I completely agree. So, let's work on
let's do that. I mean, I think we should together approach to the government and, bring light to these issues. And then maybe we will be able to do something better for the Indian citizens.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so I'll be in touch with you, and thank you so much for the interview, Mr. Patel. And I'll be in touch with you, and we'll post this interview as soon as we can. And once again, thank you so much for giving us your time. Thank you.
Sure.
Bye.